Are you ready to get the hydrofacial glow? Loved in 87 countries across the world. It's not a facial, it's a hydrofacial. Now available across the UK. Visit hydrofacial.co.uk to find your nearest location.
Oh, I remember doing ballet jumps for 2 hours and I couldn't walk the next day. I couldn't get to college because I physically couldn't drive. I was like, I would keep going, but my legs don't move.
Yeah.
What news? Tell all.
Oh, well, I'm actually quite excited because I've got my cousin coming in later, which is really fabulous. But I was chatting away about, we did our sort of family sort of DNA and trace and everything with other relatives. And we found that there was my great-grandmother was called Amelia, right? Now, Amelia is such an old-fashioned name. And I actually said to somebody, I've never met anyone called Amelia, but it's a lovely name. Yeah.
Excuse me, it's my middle name. It's my middle name.
Is it?
My middle name, Harriet Amelia.
Oh my goodness, I didn't know that,
And
Harriet.
it was
Anyway,
my mother's, and it was my grandmother's, and it's my daughter's. Just saying.
such a great name. Anyway, I should have spoken to you about it then. So I was in a shop on Saturday chatting to this lady, and I said, by the way, what is your name? And she said, Amelia. That was literally a day after I said I've never met anyone. And now I've met Harriet Thorpe as well, who's also called Amelia.
Oh, thank you. I went to school with it.
Can I say something? The name Thorpe means little wood. And somebody once rather harshly said, oh, you mean thicket.
Thick in it.
Like naff off.
Yes. Exactamundo. Now, I would like to talk about colours today because Dee is in a lovely sort of an aqua. Harriet is in a sort of violety blue, is it?
Bluish, yeah.
Bluish, and Sherry is pinkish.
Yes.
And I, of course, am black. As usual. But it's lovely because the weather now is going weird again. I mean, what's going on?
Roller coaster.
So much for a heat wave. I said to you, didn't I? All that hype in the everywhere about 10,000 people are going to die because we're in 40 degrees, and it lasted 2 days. What a load of rubbish!
Not even that, Sherry. What was the big summer that we could barely move?
1976.
And I mean, it might not have reached 40 degrees on one day, but it was the whole summer, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was 2.5 months worth.
Yeah.
And I remember Notting Hill walking on, and all the roads were all splitting and burning. And
Sherry, I was living in Notting Hill. I was a student at the time, and I was living in Notting Hill, and my window was open when I was in a bed sit, which I shared with like 2 other people, of course, and a single room, obviously. And I remember looking out in that year in Notting Hill. That's so funny you said
I
that.
was in Notting Hill as well.
Oh my God!
Yes, I was in Clanricarde Gardens.
I was in
Notting Hill.
Clanricarde Gardens, Sherry.
I was right at the bottom, the very end of Clanricarde.
And I was halfway down on the right.
How funny.
So
I know.
know each
Where
other.
were you,
We were in
Dee?
As I said last week, I was actually in a tent, touring in a tent around London. So I probably did sort of go on the edges of Notting Hill.
Right.
But in a tent, I didn't have like you guys, a sort of a posh house or even a room.
Oh, it
Well,
wasn't a posh
no
house.
posh houses.
Wasn't a
No,
posh house.
it is posh
Well,
now, though, isn't it, Sherry?
Or a house.
Very
posh
posh.
now.
Very glad.
Because they are now, aren't they?
One room,
Especially
one
after
room.
the film Notting Hill. I mean,
But that's why I thought this time, come on, as long as you're sensible. There was a girl, wasn't there, in the news that sat in that 40 degrees and burnt her face, and her face blew up.
no.
And, you've got to be sensible. I mean, I know I did Benidorm for all those years, and you learned how to, treat 40 degrees of heat. But then air conditioning over there is in every single room that you go in. That's what we haven't got. We haven't learned that lesson here yet.
No, and I've seen many newspapers, Sherry, complaining about men and women in those hot days, warnings to stop doing certain things with particular ice lollies.
Yes.
Not to put them in certain orifices.
I know.
Yes,
How
like their
Really?
mouths. Like their mouths, Harry.
Not their mouths. That was the
And
point.
also-
Their ears, you mean?
Yes.
Something like that, Dee,
It
darling.
wasn't
Yes.
just ice lollies, it was frozen potatoes as well.
Oh, people will go
goodness.
anywhere when they
That
come.
that would never get in my ear, a big frozen potato.
Let's stop now, dear.
Disgusting.
We're not
Hang
talking
on,
about
and
ears
the
anyway.
other thing is,
Moving
which
on.
is very, very important, is people walking their dogs
I
in the
know.
middle of the day.
No,
Yes.
insane.
I actually did say something to a woman.
Did
I know
you?
it's none of my business, but it was midday in a park. I was with Molly and all her friends, and there's this one with a big shaggy dog. And I said, isn't your dog going to be hot? And she said, mind your own business.
Oh no.
Oh, that told
And I
you.
just thought, oh, okay.
Well,
And the dog was panting. It was awful
Yes.
to see.
I do. I think a lot of people are under a misapprehension about shaggy dogs as well. I'm not going to tell you a shaggy dog story.
No.
But a lot of the big breeds that they've got 2 or 3 coats, and the underneath coat actually helps keep them cool and keep them hot and
Right,
keep them warm in the
okay.
winter. I mean, a lot of people cut them really short, and they shouldn't do that. They should leave them. You know, there are some breeds that you can cut short, but other breeds like chow chows, the actual undercoat keeps them cooler. But I
Oh,
do
wow.
one thing.
Yes.
I actually go out on the pavement with no shoes on to see if it's hot. And if I
Yeah.
can't stand on it, then I don't go out.
The
with
dogs can't.
Very good.
Exactly.
That's very sensible.
Dee, can you bring your cousin in now, please?
Of course. Dying to, actually. It is my cousin, as I've said several times, the wonderful, the gorgeous Francesca Catlow. Hey, Francesca. It's so
Hi,
lovely to see you,
Francesca.
darling. It's so exciting to have a family member on here.
Oh, yeah.
Well, you have got these sort of high cheekbones, darling, and the eyes. You look extraordinary like my mum when she was young as well. You've probably been told that many times.
That's such a wonderful compliment. Thank you so much.
Oh, not at all. You look gorgeous, darling. Anyway, we're going to talk to you about everything that you've been doing, which is extraordinary. And, you know, you're totally an inspiration, and you never stop, and you're always moving forward. And you know, basically it's fantastic what you're doing and what you've done. So the family name on my mum's side is Thomas. And what's extraordinary is you've actually married a Frenchman called Sam Thomas. So you kept the family name going.
Yeah, I didn't know I was going to do that. Apparently that was the way forwards. If I was going to be a boy, I was going to be called Thomas after the family name as well. And I was meant to, the due date was like the 6th of June, and I got married on the 6th of June to a Thomas. So no matter what, it's going to be.
Oh, that's amazing.
Destiny.
How extraordinary. And also, we were talking about on Friday, weren't we, Francesca, about the Thomases, and what it's that Thomas tenacity we've always been told, haven't we? It's like just keep going, whatever. Yeah.
We always have to be doing something. We're always busy. We're always out there. We're always helping people, and we're always starting projects.
Absolutely.
Sounds like
hopefully finishing them.
Yeah.
Darling, can I ask you about you had a dance school, and where did you start training? What was the first thing that happened to you to get you into that world?
Oh, when I was really little, I didn't start very well in that I got kicked out of a few dance schools for being naughty.
That's something to be very proud of.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I just wanted to do my own thing, you know what it's like, and I was just running around and doing my own dance routine. So I think my mum was just so embarrassed that I was just went off of that. But when I got a little bit older, I took it more seriously, and I was doing disco freestyle and rock and roll to begin with, and like went into street dance and hip hop and things like that, which is kind of how I met my husband, because he does parkour. But I did the dance school. I went to college, so I got to do some ballet and tap. I went to a college called Whitehall in Essex, because I used to drive there and back every day, because I'm in Suffolk, so I'd drive an hour and a half just to get there and back every day. So I was quite determined.
Dedication, darling.
Always.
And it is that thing in dance, no matter how painful it is, you keep going.
Oh,
and you keep going no matter what, and it gives you a great thing for life, a great ability in life, than to just, as you said, keep going, keep moving forward no matter what.
Oh, I remember doing ballet jumps for 2 hours, and I couldn't walk the next day. I couldn't get to college because I physically couldn't drive. I was like, I would keep going, but my legs don't move.
Won't. Yeah.
And then how did you get to start your own dance school?
Well, before I went to college, I'd already taken some teaching exams because it was sort of a natural progression to just get as much education as I possibly could. And I loved working with the kids, I was a helper in a dance school, and I just love working with the children and choreographing for them and creating for them. They're so inspiring. They make you work harder, because in a good way, because they just want more and more and more. So then you sort of see yourself reflected back, and it helps you as a performer to teach, I think, because you're seeing what's going on. And I just loved that aspect. So after college, I wanted to perform and I wanted to teach. So my dance school was very much about performance. My dance academy performed at Disneyland Paris.
Wow.
The Royal Albert Hall.
Wow.
Sadler's Wells.
Fantastic.
Yeah, and my dance crew, so the dance and parkour, which was called the Art of Urban Movement, we got chosen to perform in the Olympic Park during the ending ceremonies as like a pop-up thing to entertain the crowds. And
oh, wow.
All of it was amazing. And I got to use my own vocals, so I had like singing records and such, and I was using my music to perform to. It was just the most incredible atmosphere. It was really, really
wow.
Congratulations.
Wow. Great.
That's a real
What is-
amazing achievement. Well done, darling.
What is
done.
what is parkour and dance together, though?
Oh, it was phenomenal.
Go on. Sounds so interesting. How does it
So
work?
I remember first seeing, like, when my husband was my boyfriend, and he was like, I do this thing called parkour, and I was like, okay, I don't know what that is. So I went to watch him, and they sort of jump over obstacles, and I was like, do you know what, if you put dancers and you're jumping over dancers and you merge it all together, so they do a flip in that direction, they run up there and they jump over you, and then they'll pick the girls up and throw them about, and it was kind of like there was an element of cheerleading in a way, I guess, the way you sort of use each other, but we were very urban, the Art of Urban Movement, and so I just loved the physicality of parkour and free running, and I just had to choreograph it. I had to.
I'd love to see that. It's so interesting. But your husband, sorry, I want to talk about him without Phil here. Now, I love men with long hair.
Oh, thank you. Mine's quite gorgeous.
It's just, and I think it's just so lovely, and he looks so gorgeous.
Thank you.
Oh, but he's got epilepsy. So how does that matter? Doesn't that frighten him when he's jumping off buildings?
I think it frightens me more than him as the onlooker. I mean, he got epilepsy. He started having seizures when he was 21. So we were together and he started having seizures. So it was quite a shock. I was quite sheltered in a way. My brain was performance and everything's artsy, and then suddenly my boyfriend, who I absolutely love, has a disability, and I think for both of us that was really hard. And I remember going to the neurologist's department, and they said, you need to stop doing parkour, it's too dangerous, you're having seizures, what if you're on a rooftop and you have a seizure, you need to stop. We left room, and I just turned to Sam and I said, you're not stopping. No, you are going to do parkour. You are talented. It's good for your mental health, which will help your epilepsy. You actually need parkour in your life. You are not going to stop. We're just going to make sure you always have someone with you who understands what's going on, and his seizures, which have changed a lot over the years. He's only got worse because Sam's, like I say, he got epilepsy when he's 21 and we're in our 30s. So he's only just found out why he has epilepsy.
Why is that?
There's a tiny, super, super tiny piece of grey matter that never migrated out properly when he was in the womb. So he's always had this tiny, tiny piece of brain in the wrong place. But it just started, I figured it, but it started causing seizures. So then he was given medication to stop seizures, but medication will never help seizures that are actually there because there's something wrong in your brain, like in the wrong place. So he's just had all his chemistry more and more disturbed, and therefore his epilepsy is worse. He's had psychosis very, very badly. He's had Alice in Wonderland syndrome. Didn't know that was a syndrome. It is.
What is it? What happens?
Okay, it started with a sector of Alice in Wonderland syndrome, which was Lilliputian syndrome. So he had a few what are called grand mal seizures, which he mostly has at night time, which is when they're the most dangerous to have them. It's when he's asleep. And he wasn't really himself. And I was teaching and he was with me. So we were pretty much always together. And he came up to me and he said, "Am I really small?" I was like, "What do you mean? Like, what's going on?" And he honestly thought in the room he'd gone really tiny. You know how like Alice in Wonderland goes really small?
Yes.
So he genuinely, and I had to grab him and pull him into me and be like, "Look, you're taller than me. Your eyes are above mine." And that sort of helped. But he got progressively worse. When he went into full psychosis, that was really bad. There was a short time where he was basically in a vegetative state, where I had to try and feed him. He wouldn't walk, and that was all because of how many seizures he was having.
I can connect you to the medical detection dogs. I mean, it'd be nice to work, because they are, well, I would say 98% there, you know, all the time. It's changed people's lives. I've seen people with these dogs, and you know, their lives have changed, especially the diabetic ones, when people when their blood goes down in the middle of the night and the dogs wake up and wake them up and wake their partners up. So it could help him a bit, and I'd love to be able to help you.
That's incredible. I mean, at the moment I'm the detection dog, so
Yes.
it would be nice to have a break.
Yes, well, exactly. And they really do, they change lives.
And you're affiliated with them, aren't you, Debbie?
Yeah, and I can see what's going to happen. This dog will be a parkour dog, won't he? Be jumping over.
It will.
So they literally have sort of like breath and body odor all the way through the day. So when he changes, just when the body odor or the breath changes, they notice it an hour or two before it happens.
Wow.
So then they, you know, they go and make you relax or make you lie down or go and notify somebody. So, and that's why it's helped so many people. It is they are life-changing dogs. They really are.
Yeah, he does need that. I mean, it's so hard for him because he can't drive anywhere. You know, he can't work a normal job. No one wants, because he has seizures every single day, and his seizures are strange. I mean, when he was being studied at Addenbrooke's, at first everyone was like, okay, another person to be wired up for a week, you know. And then when they started seeing his seizures, everyone was suddenly in. They were looking at all the data. They were really fascinated what's going on in this man's head, because his seizures are really strange. He has all sorts of types of seizures. So yeah, it's really, really hard for him. But he has some amazing friends who always go training with him, know exactly what to do. They've seen him in psychosis. So he's really lucky on that level, that he's adored by so many people, which kind of helps.
Well, let's for a second talk about you. And your books and your writing. How did you get into writing books? And I can see them behind you, and also I want to know what's next. So tell us how you got into your writing.
You know, the pandemic started and we were all stuck at home, and there I was, heavily pregnant, ready to burst. I had Sam with his epilepsy, and I had my son, who was then 2. So there was quite a lot in my head. I gave birth, as you do in a pandemic, such fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that was not fun. But came home, and she was keeping me up all night because she wanted to feed all night. Brilliant. So I thought, do you know what? I've always kind of thought I could write a book, always wanted to write a fiction book, and it's that creativity. So all of my creativity had stopped with the pandemic. I was stuck completely at home. I wasn't teaching, I wasn't out singing, there was nothing I could do at all. So I turned to my husband, I was like, I could write a book all like this. He was like, well, do it then. So I did. So I literally at 4 a.m. every morning I was awake, and I had to write it on the notes app in my phone, because I was feeding her one side and I had all I could hold.
No.
Yeah, so
amazing.
Just writing out this story, and there's part of me, I'm writing it, I'm like, does it even make sense? This is the middle of the night. So I started sending chapters to Sam and saying, like, it's not really his genre. You know, this is women's fiction. It's holiday fiction. It's escapism. So that's my target audience, which isn't something Sam would normally choose and pick up. And even he was like, do you know what? I want to know what happens next. And I'm like, oh, that's a good.
It's brilliant.
So what was your first book called?
That's this one, which is
The
Little Blue Door.
Right, that's your first one.
That was the one I wrote in the middle of the night, like a crazy person. And I took a long time editing it because it needed more thought than my 4 a.m. tired brain could give it. But I wrote in the first lockdown. So I wrote that in 2020 and it came out in 2021. And then my second book has only been out a couple of months, which is Behind the Olive Trees. And that's second in the series.
So, and what's the next one?
So everyone's quite anxious for the next one. I get emails from people who they finish Behind the Olive Trees and they email me, like people I don't know, just emailing me going, hello, when's the next one out, please? And I'm like, oh, this is good. This is so good. So next one's out in March next year, and that one's called Chasing Greek Dreams, and that's the trilogy of this particular series. I've also got some spin-off novellas. So at the moment, if people sign up to my newsletter on my website, they get to download a free novella from me. So if they go to francescacatlow.co.uk, you can sign up and get a free novella. So if they're interested in reading something of mine and they want a free sample, that's the best way to do it.
Do you think this is your career now, writing? Is this the joy of your life now?
I literally love it. So I've written obviously these books, 2 novellas. I went back to uni in the Open University at the end of 2020. I was doing creative writing for the year as well. So I was looking after the family, doing my uni degree.
That's what women do.
I know, we do. We're mad.
I know, we're all mad, darling. Yeah. We're all mad.
I love it though. I just love it. But it is a bit crazy. I was like, what am I doing? But it's like, to me, it's kind of like acting without leaving the house.
Yes.
Yes.
Because I used to do the odd script here and there with the dance academy. I'd written a few like pantos for them, and I'd say I wrote a musical. I didn't write the music for it. We used all contemporary music script. And so I'd done all of that before and enjoyed it, and I love performance. And I think in the future, when my children are older, I'd like to come back to doing a little bit here and there. But honestly, I just love writing so much now. I'm obsessed.
The only thing is, it's a bit solitary, isn't it? You are on your own for a very long time, you know, without speaking to anybody.
I try and write every single night, unless we've got some plans. And I try and write for 2 to 3 hours. I'm quite prolific. Like I say, I've actually written another book that's not in this series, that's almost ready for release. But I'm trying to decide what to do with it, and that one sort of brings in wanting to talk about the issues that I've faced, like with Sam. So it's the concept of that series, this is very much an exclusive here. The concept of that series is this girl Ellie, is she time traveling or is she in psychosis?
Fantastic.
Wow.
Really going to see this sexy Viking rune, or is it all in her head? Is something gone completely wrong? So because of like knowing stuff with Sam and psychosis, I really want to shine a light on things that aren't always talked about, and things that might seem extreme, but do you know what can happen to anyone? Anyone could just start having seizures at any time. There are millions of people who deal with epilepsy every day.
It would open the world to your world as well, which could be endless books, couldn't it then?
Well, yeah, it's true.
And help people.
But I think the thing is as well, Sherry, I think writing it in fiction helps people understand it more, because when you read books, a book on epilepsy, you think, oh, it's something that you've got to read. It's a textbook. But if you're bringing into fiction, then it makes it a story which you can relate to.
Yeah, definitely.
Exactly.
Well, you've been brilliant. I mean, that's a fantastic guest.
I'm just so excited to read you gorgeous girls. It's been so lovely.
Oh, darling, and you said to me actually that you want to help new writers now. So is that your next project to help you write.
It is. So I've created my own publishing brand, which is Gaia in Fenrir. And I've had a lot of authors asking me for help, like how have I had so much success so quickly as well. And so I've been mentoring people, and what I've started doing now is I can only, at the moment, because there's so much going on, I can only do it with select people, but I'm working with a lady at the moment. Her name's Angela Dandy, and we're starting to relaunch one of her books, which is The Gypsy Killer, which is also a really good book. And it's basically helping someone to publish their own book. I take no ongoing profit. So whereas like Vanity Press would help you publish your book and then take 15% of your money, which makes it that you barely earn anything suddenly, I then go, right, you're out in the world and I'm here for support. So I support those authors. I give them tips, and what about jumping on this campaign, advertising campaign, all of this, all for free, because I believe in their work. And I just want to, you know, I feel like I'm really privileged because I'm now a full-time writer. I love it. I'm doing well with it, and people are enjoying my books. And I'd really love to give back to the writing community, because the writing community are so welcoming and friendly, and I felt so welcomed by so many people that I really want to give back to the community. So that's how I'm doing that.
Brilliant.
You're amazing. Inspiration.
Absolutely.
You really are, Francesca. So proud.
Thank
Lovely to
you.
meet you. Come back and see us
Lovely
soon.
to meet you. Oh, I would love that. Yes.
Please do.
Fantastic.
Take
And I'm
care.
Bye, darling.
Bye.
Bye, darling.
And
We
to hear
do.
these young women with that multitasking, you know, drive, doing good
amazing.
for free is so moving.
I know.
Amazing.
She's incredible, isn't she? She
And
reminds me
But
so much
women
of my
are,
mom.
you know, women are. They just,
Yeah.
you
They
know,
just
can do 1,000 things in a day.
And
Yes.
look at our mothers, look at all of us, and you know, that's what we do.
Astounding, really.
Yeah.
What we do.
Actually.
Do you remember the series 24? With
I
Kiefer
never
Sutherland?
watched it. Yeah, but I know what you
Well,
mean.
well, no, because it, you know, each episode was an hour, you know, a real-time hour. And I remember thinking, you know, because he used to do things in this real-time hour, you know, he'd jump out of a plane, he'd rescue a president in all in 1 hour. And I remember Neil and I were together at that time, and he looked at me, he said, if it was my life, I'd just be sitting on the loo for the whole hour reading a paper.
Yeah.
It's true, isn't it?
So
We are
true,
great
that.
at
So funny.
multitasking.
So funny.
But
No,
we
I
are-
think again, and even all of us in every different way doing Wonderbirds, it's the same thing. We had, you know, with Debbie bringing us all together, all of us creating this show, because we didn't have anything to do, and we have to do something, so we did.
Yeah, exactly. And we still
Absolutely.
are. And
I
we
love the
still are.
way though she was breastfeeding and writing. I think that was brilliant.
Yeah, that's
And I have
And now
read
you
them.
can. You've got your phone. You can do it.
Yeah,
I mean,
Yeah, you can do it.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have thought of that, and I have read the first book, and it's brilliant. I have to say,
good.
well, we've got
absolutely
to read it
brilliant.
now. Anyway,
Well-
we've got to go because we are running over.
We are
Yeah.
running
Run
late.
over.
We
We've
will
run
see you
over.
next time, everybody. And
Okay.
bye, darling.
Bye.